Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. So, a little bit of a channel update. I haven't streamed in about 10 days, and that's because I have been shooting a documentary at night for work, plus my normal day job. So, I have not had a lot of time to stream, but that shoot is kind of wrapped up. I've got two more night shoots kind of to be disclosed for it, but it'll be wrapped up here soon and I'll be back. I'm trying to get back on a normal schedule. I'm realizing our dialogue box for this player isn't picking up, so we might have to tweak that. But today's episode, I do want to also give a channel update here. As of last week, we raised enough money through subs to cover the price to host the game on Steam, to submit the game to Steam. So thanks to everyone who watches and supports, we won't have to pay any money to get it hosted on Steam. So thanks to you guys, it'll be and still remain free for everybody. So all the source code will always be free, but to actually get it up on Steam and a little easier for people to download and play, that's now an option for us. So thanks to everyone who's been a sub or cheer biddies or any of that good stuff. Thank you. I appreciate it, and I'll continue to keep making this so that we can get it deployed and on Steam so that more people can play it. There are a couple of things I want to do today. I think it'll be first of all figuring out how to get the extended hitbox for the dialogue up here for this guy, and then we want to get that back. I know that was working at some point. We'll get that back, and then we're going to be working on a mobile deployment. So we haven't deployed to our website in probably like 2 months now. So we can update it so that we have all the updated talking to signs and all the dialogue box stuff now on our web deployment. So let's see how we can find the disjointed hitbox for the player when we walk in the house there and see where we're messing that up. So I want to say we called it something like disjointed dialogue box, extend a dialogue box upwards. This is where we do it. Yeah, there's I guess I want to find where we trigger the text box. Is that in the entity? Like there's a way we can render it to see it, so we can see if it's being disjointed correctly. I'm forgetting where it is. It might be into the player class. Yeah, right here. This dialog box detection. So if we come in here and turn this back on, we should be able to see the little red box in front of us, and that's our collider for things like a sign or for like a mage when you're talking to the mage. And then see, look, we're not disjointing it. So see how it's not quite reaching him up there. So we have to find where we said that we were gonna become this extended getting true, which is where? Yeah, we have this extend dialog box upwards, and I guess upwards is only for when we're facing upwards. But where are we using this extend dialog box upwards? It looks like we have it in the play state and in the player class. So the player class, we already saw that. This, we're looking for, hey Prosto, what's up? Dude, how's it going? We should have an option where whenever we transition into a scene, where we can toggle the disjointed hitbox for this option. Nice. Hey, if you want someone else, I can always change you. I've got the executive controls over here, so if you're not feeling the double chicken, we can always make you a fishy or something. Yeah, it's been a little while. I've been on a busy film shoot at night, and then working my normal job during the day, so I have not had time to stream like I normally do. So I'm hoping to not have to do another big break like that, but also taking a little break was good too. So this is in the play state. We're looking for the player one. Okay. So I don't see the option where we're actually triggering it to become extend dialog box upwards true on the player. So I'm not sure where we used to have that logic. It's good to take breaks, man. Yeah, a big break, a nice break. Yeah. It doesn't coincide with being lazy or unproductive. It's just a break. Dude, I felt guilty like all the time. I felt guilty not working on it, but I was way too busy. Yeah, well, that's okay, man. I mean, there's natural seasons in life and stuff, so it's totally natural to have the slower times too. You know, I mean, what's crazy is like, you know, you take a month off of your code and you come back and you're like, who did this? Who's responsible for this? There should be a trigger where we're saying, where we trigger on a scene transition that we're saying extended dialog box upwards gets true, so that we can actually talk to the guy up there. I'm wondering if that was in a recent commit we can find. It should be called, what, disjointed hitbox? Disjointed hitbox. Yeah. Who did this? Who is responsible? It's like those videos where you see the guy walk in his apartment and like he has the empty Taco Bell bag and he's like, who ate my Taco Bell when I stood up and walked out for 30 seconds? And the dog is it's got like Taco Bell mouth. Okay, this looks like the commit we did, but I don't see where we're actually becoming extended. Oh, right here. To do, make this revert depending on necessity. So this looks like in play state 268, after we have a warping. Yeah, we did not. So maybe we did not do this smartly. I think we might have just had this. I'm going to leave this here so I can see it. Okay, yeah, let's see that. So 268 on our play state, that's right here. So we took it V disjoint. V disjoint. How are we doing this? So if the disjoint is true on the value, which is a WarpZone value, So if the warp zone, okay, so we're pairing the disjoint with the warp zone itself. So like, hey, no worries, Prosto, you have a good sleep. Thanks for stopping by, dude. Good to see ya. Yeah, it looks like our warp zone is what has a disjoint option, and that's how we're triggering whether or not we have that extended dialog box. Now, this isn't very scalable because this is only for a dialog box upwards, but the parameter here is just called disjoint, so that's not great. But we should be able to find where we're passing in this disjoint into the warp zone object, because if we look, that V value is one of a warp zone object here in our .warp zones. So let's go see where we do a warp zone. Yeah, I guess, does that mean in our insert warp zones, does it take in an extra parameter? Like here? No? Warp zone. An actual warp zone. Okay. So let's see if we have any of those disjoints saved anywhere. In a warp zone init, we do have a disjoint. Okay. And the disjoint gets to be the value, or if it's omitted, it's false. Okay, so where are we doing the warp zone for the player here? We have to find which scene this guy's in. So let's go just see which scene he's in. This is a map 7.2. We warp over to a 1.11. So a 1.11 warp zone needs a disjoint true in order to get the proper hitbox there. So let's look for, I think it's in our map declarations. We should have a 1.11. Oh. Okay, so we did kind of, I guess this, one of the previous episodes here, we changed it so that when we do an insert warp zone like this, it does this, and it'll insert a warp zone. So, shit. We either need to add the parameter of disjoint to be true here, only if, you know, it's like we need it's like we need like a table to just be able to declare which warp zone scenes get well, this is really strange because it doesn't make a lot of sense to tie the disjoint to a warp zone, because if we want a disjointed hitbox and it's not a warp zone, we wouldn't be able to add it. So maybe we should take the disjoint out of the warp zone and instead put it in the scene. That makes more sense to me, because then we can have a table that says 111 is true on the up disjoint or whatever. But that is not how we designed it already, so I guess we could, yeah, honestly, we should just, we should probably have just a whole field of disjoint directions for our global scenes, and then we can just loop through and initialize them all to false and then manually set any custom disjoints as needed. So I guess okay, I guess, well, I'm tempted to just add it to the warp zone because we've already got that. I guess let's test adding it to the warp zone, and then I'll probably end up refactoring out to the scenes. So I'm gonna get rid of this. Yeah, let's try to do this So the warp zone object has a field called disjoint that, if it's true, it will extend our hitbox so that we can talk to that villager behind the counter. So that's in a scene 111. So after we insert that scene and everything, what if we were to say that the warp zone, and I think warp zones are added. If we look at our insert warp zone, it inserts it into the warp zone table at the map, at the global map. Okay, so we should be able to just say, map at 111 in our warp zones table. Oh, but see, this is a little, because the warp zones are 2 items, or like, yeah, it's like a warp zone to and from. So which warp zone? We need it. This is tough. Hold on. If we look at the disjoint again, is that in the init? The warp zone init. Okay. So once we initialize a warp zone, it'll be false if we don't give it a value. And right now, when we run the insert warp zones function, it inserts 2 warp zones, and both of those warp zones that we insert do not have a disjoint. So the question is, which one of these warp zones do we add the disjoint true to in order to extend the hitbox? Because there's a table of 2 warp zones, and the first one we add is a from, and the second is a warping to. So here, if the warp zone has a disjoint, see, this is kind of weird. This is in the play state, and we cycle through all the warp zones for our current map, which if we warp to map 111, we've got 2 warp zones in there. We've got one warp zone that leads from the place to this warp zone and then outwards. So why are, like, it's weird that we're changing the dialog box upwards if the current warp zone that we warped to has the true disjoint. This is crazy. Yeah, it's going to be better for us to just change it not based on the warp zone, because it doesn't make sense to have it based on the second warp zone, right? It's just kind of weird. So we're going to say warp zones at index 2 should be our second warp zone, and we're going to say that our disjoint is going to be set equal to true, so we have the upward red stretch on our hitbox. Warp zones. Didn't like this. Yeah. Well, we should have the 2 warp zones. Insert warp zone. Yeah, when we call this insert warp zone, we're inserting 2 values. Oh, but they're not indexable, I don't think, because we're just table.inserting, not a table. So if we go and like insert a table like this, will it be indexable? No. This is, we are doing a table.insert, which I thought had to be a table, but I guess not. Yeah, I mean, how can we run the insert method if it's not a table? Warp zones, that's it, right? Warp zones with an S. Yeah, warp zones. Warp from column. warp 2 column. Oh. Okay, no. Okay, so there is only one warp zone in each. Okay, there is only one warp zone in each place. It's only where the warp zone goes to, so we should be able to do index 1 there. Okay, so here's our red hitbox above us. It's tiny, it's like 5 pixels. And if we're in here, it still is not reaching our player here. 111, 111. Yeah, that's the right one. Okay, where are we saying that the disjoint gets false? Oh. Yeah, it's just if the disjoint on the warp zone is true, then our player's dialog box gets true. And this is only on... Oh, this is so weird, man. This only gets called if we're colliding with the warp zone and we're not already warping. Then by the time we warp, we're checking the disjoint... Or, yeah, by the time we warp, we're saying if the V disjoint on the one we're leaving, not the one we're going to. So it's not that it has to be true. Well, it's weird because we don't have it stretched even if we come back to this place, do we? Yeah, no. Oh, it is stretched if we come back to the place. Okay. So that's the disjoint we're looking for. It's just not here. It's actually at 7.3. This is why we need to change this, because this doesn't make any sense. Or is it 7.2? Should be the one we stand at. Yeah, so 7.2 here. So yeah, we've got a normal disjoint, but now once we trigger this, we'll become warping true, and then that's when we trigger that. We trigger the extended disjoint. So that's correct now. See how the red now matches him so that we can actually talk to him. And then it should come back to normal here, which it does. But this is just terrible to be like... This is just so weird to trigger it based off the scene of the warp zone you're coming from to change the disjoint. That just doesn't make any sense. So we might do a little commit here and then change this so that we can just assign a disjoint based on the scene instead of the scene's warp zone that we're coming from. That doesn't make any sense. So we'll switch that around. Yeah, so let's add a little commit here before we get too far, and it'll be adding disjoint or tavern talking, but about to refactor disjoint into separate scene table. We messed up. Okay. Oh no. We messed up. It looks like I have a commit from elsewhere. Let's do a git pull real quick. Okay. This is jacked up. That was my bad. I did not get pull before I went to commit, and that screwed us up. Yo. Okay, I really messed this up. Write protected. Oh no. Okay. That was incredibly bad. I hate when I do that. But we should be able to get pushed now. Should be okay. I'm gonna just make sure that's looking right. I hate when I do that. Okay, yeah. Okay. We're caught up. Okay. So let's refactor this disjoint into being a table for our scene. So when we go, I guess it's in our map declarations. You know, I don't want to do this here. I don't want to set the disjoint based on the warp zone we came from. What I do want to do is find where we're cycling through our scenes and see where we give ourselves all the values. So we want to add a value into each scene, and the value that we want to add is a disjoint field, and the disjoint field gets initialized to false from the get-go. And then we have to the thing is we're using a value here in this scenes table to trigger a field on our player object. So we still need to check the scene for the disjoint for the player. Let's see where we're doing that. Not here. Here. So we don't want to like, I think it makes sense for us to put it here into a warp zone. Well, no, it doesn't make sense to put it in a warp zone. We're getting away from that. So we basically, I want to say that maybe anytime we change a scene, right? Because I don't want to ask every single frame, hey, is the disjoint field of this current scene true? If so, disjoint our hitbox. If not, don't. I don't want to do that every single frame. So I'm thinking instead of on a warp, what if we just do it on a scene transition? So if we comment this out, we probably need to remove this. Let me just say. Okay, so it's this extend dialog box upwards, and we want to do this upon a scene transition. So that is a finish shifting. So in our finish shifting, that's when we're going to ask, if the map, and I guess we can do this right before we assign our new map, which before we do this next map stuff, we're going to say if our current map should be the global, oh man. Okay, I think this is looking right. This if our map at self.currentMap.row okay, so we're coming in here and we're saying if not the warp zones, but if the disjoint is true, then extend our dialog box upwards. So now we're not doing it 30 times or 60 times a second. We're only doing it when we finish shifting a scene. Now, this is also not great. This actually won't solve our issue. This won't solve our issue. We need it either on a warp or a scene transition. Yeah, because a scene transition is only triggered if we're off the sides. But if we warp, sometimes we're in the middle of the screen, so it won't count for that. So how would we only change the extend dialog box upwards only if either we warp or change a scene. So let's do this where we're gonna keep this. We're gonna say, okay, if we're changing scenes, allow us to be able to change the dialog box disjoint upon a scene change, but then under our warp zone where we said we were going to remove it, let's just put in the same thing so that we do the same thing. We check the current maps row and we can say it's not self, it should be scene view here. Yeah, let's check the current scenes map. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is actually give the disjoint field a different value for the current map. But the current map, let me think this. Yeah, if the current map were on. See, and this is weird because it's not that we want it on the current map, it's that we want it on the map we're going to. Shit, man. Okay, so we have access to a warp zone. Okay, so I think we can do this. It's not based on the current map row and column, but if we look at the V, the value in the warp zone that we're colliding with, it needs to be the parameter of warp 2 or whatever it is. So like the warp zone, we have a warp row warp call. Shoot, man. Shoot. Insert warp. Okay, the warp zone. Okay, the warp zone. Yeah. Okay, so if we collide with a warp zone, we want to go to we want not the current map row call, we want the warp player 2, warp 2 row, warp 2 call. But that's the parameter that we're passing into warp zone, and that is actually named warp row warp call. Okay, so warp row warp call on the V is what we need. So instead of this, we're going to say, actually, yeah, we want to say the V warp row, if the V dot warp row at V dot warp call. Okay, that should be the field of the global map that we're trying to go to from the collision of the warp zone that we came from. Yes, that should be right. So then what we need to do is actually change this disjoint value to become true for the 111 scene. So we can test that here. Villager 1, and it's not this one anymore, but we're going to say that map 111 now, the scene that we're actually trying to modify, it's not the dot disjoint of the warp zone, it's the dot disjoint of the scene, and we want to modify that to be true. So let's see if that works. Okay, so far so good. It worked. So we've got the disjointed hitbox so we can talk to him even though he's further away from us. The disjoint is where I call this gap here, like we disjoint the hitbox for the text to be further. Let's see if it switches back. It does switch back. Okay, so now we're not changing it based on just warp zones. So if we wanted to, like, if there was some level with like a river right down the middle and we wanted to talk to a guy on the other side of the river, we would have to write a new, we'd have to say disjoint up is true, so that we can disjoint it only upwards, because right now the disjoint's only working on up, but we might want to disjoint it in different directions. So I would say we rename this to be a disjoint up, and what that would mean is we would have to check all the directions, and we can say if disjoint up, then go ahead and do that. If it's not disjoint up, then extend dialog box upwards is false. So we have a disjoint up, but we need a disjoint up in our scenes. So right now we have a disjoint. We're going to say disjoint up is actually false. Okay, this should be the same. Cool. Okay, so we've got the disjoint working again, which is good, but we might need to extend it to be a downwards or leftwards or rightwards. So we should be doing the same exact thing versus scene transition versus warp. So maybe we can test that theory and just say also we're going to take the scene at 7.2 where we start and disjoint up on the 7.2, which it is not seeming to work. 7.2 disjoint up, yeah. Thought that would be it. Because we're trying to, like, let's leave and come back, because we don't call that function until we scene transition, but that's still not working. Okay, it works for the warp. So where are we missing? It works here for the warp zone, but it is not working for... Oh, actually, yeah, okay. So the thing is, just because we say disjoint up doesn't mean that we extend the player dialog box upwards, we should, yeah, if we were to just, oh man. Yeah, because this is just during the warp zone, but we had also added it for a finish shifting. And we say, if there's a disjoint at the current map. Yeah, okay, so this is wrong too then. I think we need to ask if the next map has the disjoint, because it's like when we, we're only changing this extend dialog box upwards upon a scene transition at the moment, upon finishing a scene transition. And by the time we finish the scene transition, we're asking if the map that we just left has a disjoint. And if so, dialog box upwards. So, I mean, that should still mean that we at least get a disjoint when we leave, which I'm not seeing either. So maybe we do this after we've updated the map. We say, okay, well, the new current map, if that's, disjoint up, that's what we're missing, disjoint up. Yeah, if we're disjoint up, then we disjoint it up. But it should be after we assign the new map. So it would still be wrong when we start here. Like it's not disjointed here, but if we enter the scene, it should be disjointed, which it is. Okay, so now, like I said, if we had one where like we needed to talk to someone across the river or something, still only upwards, but we have a specific name for it, disjoint up, and then on a scene transition, it'll update and say, hey, are we disjointed for that or not, so that we get normal hitboxes for that. I guess hitbox isn't the right word for it. It's like text box collision. Okay, cool. So that does seem to be working. We don't have code for any disjoints other than up, but I want to see where we're rendering the disjoints. Not what I wanted. It's just in the global player, probably in our player class. We've got it. The disjoint. No? This is nuts. Okay. The disjoint, yeah, where is the disjoint changing the X and Y of the dialog box? I'm not seeing that. Okay, we're going to take out the old disjoint because now we have a specific disjoint direction. I'm still not seeing where we're using the disjoint to change the dialog box. Yeah, where are we doing this extend dialog box upwards? Should be in our player. Either in our player or our entity. Okay, this is where we're doing it. Okay, it is in our player class. Okay, so this is where we would add the other directions if we want to do a disjoint to the left or right or down. So I'm going to add a comment here called disjoint directions. Only have up right now. Okay. Okay. So let's see if we do... We change a disjoint, okay, to a disjoint up. We kind of had to do it twice. One for a warp zone and one for a scene transition, so that we don't have to. Before it was tethered to, we can only trigger it if it's into a warp zone. But now we can trigger it. We can put it on any scene we want. So that's handy, and that we actually fixed it now. So it should be working for the mobile deployment, except we haven't mapped our P button press to be, our P keyboard press is triggering a interaction right now, either using magic, or if we're colliding with a dialog box or a NPC, then we're actually pulling up the dialog box only on a key press, not on a touch. So we need to add it so that our touch triggers these things, so that the mobile deployment, you can talk to the mage and stuff. Okay, so let's commit here, and then we'll add. Yeah, we'll see if it makes sense for me to add the touch. Let's say added disjoint up to global scenes and decoupled from warp zone objects. So that's cool. And then what we'll do is, let's just check, where are we? We've got a touch detection class. Touch handling. Oh gosh. Okay, so we've got all these buttons that we're checking. All these D-pad buttons. Okay, so for the interaction, when we go to when P is pressed, P is actually button A, and button A is what? Button A is buttons 1. That's button A. So buttons 1 is going to be A. So let's see where we're doing. I know we've got spellcasting for a touch press. So if we look at when P is pressed, we've got all this stuff for the... P is pressed. Oh my goodness. Where is P is pressed for the interaction? Inventory, play state, probably this. Yeah, for the dialogue. Okay. So, moved from play state. I guess that kind of makes sense. Okay, so right here, instead of if P is pressed, we need if A button was touched, right? So that we can actually update our dialog box. And then also become paused. This is going to be a lot. It's gonna be a lot. Okay. Let's, we need to add touch to here, so we can just say, I know we've got, we've done this. How are we doing this in the touch handling? We basically have an insert touch direction. What are we doing, man? Okay, so ideally, this is nuts. Okay. I mean, I think our touch list is a global variable that holds the touch detection object of anything that's currently being pressed. And our touch handling is kind of handled in the background. So our touch list should be getting populated as is. So like we just need to cycle through our touches and handle stuff, right? So like if start is pressed, become inventory, change state. If A is pressed, check detection for dialog box objects or NPC collidables. So let's try to find where we're doing the touch press detection for the spellcast and see if we can add the interaction. So it would be what, touch pressed or touch was pressed. Was touched, that's what it is, was touched. Okay. So in our inventory, we've got a bunch. In our play state, we've got a couple. Okay, here. So look, we cycle through our touches. We see if we touch button 2, which is what? This is in our pause state. Okay. So do we have any in pairs touches for anything else? Like a play state. Yes, right here. Okay. Okay. So we cycle through. So, okay. So this is where we'd want to do it. In our play state, we've got buttons 3, buttons 2, and we need buttons 1. So if our buttons 1 collides with a touch, then we want to then do the appropriate checks to say, well, and you know what? I believe we're already spellcasting. I think we're already spellcasting on the mobile deployment. Yeah. Okay, so we are already spellcasting with the buttons 1 press. So I think I want to find where that buttons 1 press is. Let me see here. We have an inventory and loot. It wouldn't be there. Here we're saying buttons 1 fire. What is this? Button collides. If K is 1, fire spell press true. Okay, so this is where we're doing the fire spell. And this is weird because we're saying for all of our buttons. Yo, what are we doing here? Yeah, we're cycling through all the buttons we have, and then we're cycling through all the touches we have, and then we're saying if any of the buttons collide with any of the touches, then go ahead and fire spell press is true. Is that right? What up, K-Chan? How's it going, dude? Yo, what is this new badge you got? Arcane Season 2. Never seen that. Yeah, I want to see that on Netflix. I want to watch that. Yo, happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, that's Thursday, yeah? I don't even know what day of the week it is, dude. I've been I'm doing good. I'm not 100%, but much better. And the thing is like I've been shooting a documentary at night on top of my normal job, on top of trying to recover, so I've just been very tired. So that's what really sucked. Like I definitely could not stream during that time. So the shoot is basically wrapped. We've got two more nights. I don't know when. We did a bulk of the filming. We just have like, maybe tomorrow night and then one more night in like a week, and then we'll be done with that shoot. I don't like how we're doing the fire spell pressed at all. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Yeah. Okay, so in our touch handling, see, like we shouldn't be doing any specific logic to a specific button in our touch handling. So that's what's so gross about it. We should do it here in the play state where we're cycling through, and when we're saying if our A button collides with any of our touches, then go ahead and do the thing, which is first check if we're colliding with a dialog box object from either a signpost or a NPC. And then if we're not doing that, then you can go ahead and fire spell pressed gets true. So let's take a look at, let's do this %. We want to look for the logic that we have for the dialog box. So if we go search for was P pressed, oh no. Shit. Oh no. Okay, this is way tougher than I thought because of the text advancement for the touch. Because we have it so that you can advance like through pages of text by tapping or by pressing A, but we need to do it for a touch detection as well. You know what? I'm thinking maybe the way to do it. I thought of this a while back. I wish I would have probably done it. Is like, I feel like we should mush the keyboard presses and the touch detection into one sanitized table, because if we were to have done that, then we would only have to do this logic once, like any of the dialog box advancement stuff, because I don't want to have to say maybe we just add a conditional that just says if the keyboard was released or if the touch was released. We could try it. But this is in the dialog box and this is in the play state. So we need to find the correct P press for the triggering of the dialog box, which is right here. And we could see, I've got this move from play state, which I'm not sure where it makes sense if we don't do that. Let's just yank this and test it. We can say if P was pressed, we do this. So we won't have any of the... Oh, that bugs. Oh man, really? I can't copy and paste through tmux buffers? That doesn't seem right. It should be called... Yo, what is it? This one. Really? I can't... I've got to be able to... Clipboard uname plus. Is that what I'm missing? My clipboard for tmux just doesn't carry over through different windows, so I'm thinking that we need to just fix that. Let's try it. Clipboard gets unamed plus. Is that... Will we have to reset tmux? Uh-oh. I don't know, man. You would think that copying and pasting would be allowed in tmux like out of the box, but oops. Let's see. It doesn't work. All right, I'm gonna have to figure that out later. Okay, well, this is a bigger issue than I was thinking. We didn't get around to fixing the mobile deployment because part of it is making sure that all of the new stuff we just added is actually possible with touch detection. So I'll try to get this tmux thing figured out, and then I'll consider doing a global sanitized touched input list so that we can just do the logic once based on the input, whether it be keyboard or touch, it doesn't matter. We just need any button that is P being pressed to match to any touch being pressed being A. That sounds so stupid, but that's what it is. Let's make sure we didn't miss anything on the commit. We're just working on this button collide, which is still wrong, so I won't commit that because it is not right. But I'll be back tomorrow unless I get called in for that shoot, which could be possible. So I'll probably be back tomorrow, but it might be earlier than the evening, depending on the work schedule. So I'll have to see. But thanks for watching. I'll be back. And K-Tron, I think you missed this, but I said at the beginning of the stream, as of last week, we reached on the channel enough money to pay for the Steam listing. So when we go to submit it to Steam, all the subscriber revenue that this channel's got will cover that cost to submit it to Steam and get it hosted up there. So that is super cool, and you are one of the many to thank for that. So we won't have to pay to get it up on Steam. So that's a big cool thing. So thanks for that, and I'm hoping we'll have. I really want to get one level, like maybe like a 2-minute experience working, so that you can go to a couple different pages, you can get a couple different rupees, you can hit a couple different geckos, talk to a couple different people, and have like a 2 or 3 minute experience in a localized spot. Because if we can get that far, we might be able to. I don't know what it's like to submit it to Steam, because I know you can submit unfinished games as a like here's the demo or whatever. So like I'm wondering if that should be on our roadmap to be like how can we focus to get a 5 to 10 minute experience working, so that we can submit it on Steam, so that people can wishlist it as we're building it and as we're streaming it. So I'll do a little more work into seeing what that's all about and seeing what our options are now that we can actually, the channel has paid for it to be put up on Steam. So I do want to get that going, and that'll be a cool checkpoint for us to hit, is that we're a developer on Steam working on a game that can be wishlisted. I think that would be really cool. And then, we could link back to the stream on the Steam page, or I don't know how that works, but we'll look into that. And then there are some other issues with the mobile deployment. It runs at 30 FPS, not 60. And I think that's screwing up some of the collision detection. So here I can show. If we come here, so this is it on the phone, and we're running at, oh, you know what? It says 60 now. This is weird. This is actually fixed now, because I wonder what the difference is. Oh, the difference might be when I'm in low power mode on the phone. Because this is running at 60. This was running at 30 for me earlier, and often when I test it, I can like walk through and the collision doesn't work. Let me see. If we're in low power mode, oh yeah, see, we dropped to 30 FPS in low power mode, and then see, oh man. So low power mode literally breaks our game because the collision here is jacked up. Well, that makes me feel better that it does work as long as you're not in low power mode. I wonder if there's a way we can fix that so that if it is running 30 FPS, that shouldn't break the game. So I don't know what that entails, but that is something I want to hopefully fix. Because it's just, I think the web deployment is easiest for people to try. Like if we ever raid anybody and they're asking what we're working on, we can always shoot the link, and then it makes for a good first impression if the game isn't broken by the time we see like that, if they don't have any weird stuff like that happen to them. So I'd like to be able to fix that 30 FPS issue for the collision detection, but it is nice to know that low power mode seems to be the culprit for that. You know, at least that's how we can find the issue, but we've still got to address the issue. So that will probably be soon too, because what's next on the list is updating the current game to the current web deployment to be the current game, which has talking to NPCs and the scene transitions and the disjointed hitbox for the tavern and that stuff. That's what needs to get put up on the next web deployment. So once we get the touch working for that, we can probably dive into hopefully fixing the 30 FPS issue, and then it'll be easier to share. So that's what's coming up in the next couple days and weeks. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for watching. I'll be back later. Have a good night, y'all. Thanks for watching. Oh, and we'll raid out here to somebody. Finn. Yeah, we'll raid out to Finn. He's always a chill dude. Let's do it. Hey, Syntax, thanks for watching. Yeah, we'll raid out to Syntax. Yeah, have a good night, Syntax. Erroneous. Thanks for stopping in.